Congressional Medal of Honor winner.
Here we go.
Paul Craig, Navy officer, EOD, 22 years service. What's your name? That's Marcus. Marcus Citral. This is Morgan. He's the angry brother. Also from Brad Thor. I think you probably read one or two of his books, right? Maybe? You know Brad Thor? If not, get on Amazon and download one. Then we got a token Marine, Mike Ryan. Hammer out. I have a part of the reason we're here is because when the governor's been dealing with veteran issues in Texas, and it's not something that is a short-term political game for him. He's passionate about this, and he's made everyone part of his family. And this is something that he's going to do from here until he takes his last breath to take care of veterans. And we brought us along to share that with you guys. So it's my honor to introduce the next President of the United States. The longest standing governor in the state of Texas history, Air Force veteran, former C-130 pilot, Governor Rick Perry.
I can believe it. The question is how you do it.
That's probably not a good idea. Listen, thank you all for coming out here. Pete, thank you, and the song that you heard me walking up on the stage with is Cole Ford and Pete singing that song is you don't back down. And hey, listen, let's get rid of this and get this right. Turn off that. Give me this. Thank you very much. That's a lot better. Pete, thank you, and I want to say thanks to these guys back here, because the fact of the matter is every one of us enjoy the freedoms that we got today, because there are men and women just like them that stood in the way of those that would take our freedoms away. And every one of you that served, worn the uniform of this country, hold up your hand a second so we can say thank you. God bless you. We're going to proclaim loudly across this country, as Pete said, until I take my last breath. It's not just about you, it's also about your families. It's about the families that get affected by those that go off and serve. Miss Healy's here somewhere. Miss Healy, I want you to hold your hand up. We love you. Dan Healy's mom's in this audience somewhere. And Dan served with these guys back here. And it's families that get affected by the total war. I understand exactly what the cost is from the standpoint of having been the governor of the state of Texas from 2000 until 2015. From 2003 until around 2010, I signed a letter a week to a spouse, to a mother, to a father, to a loved one of a young Texan who lost their life in the war against terror. I've seen the cost of war on the faces of these young men and women and their families. We understand something, and that is that we need to do everything we can in our power to never put these young men and women in harm's way. I mean everything that we can do in our power not to put them in harm's way. But we've sent every message, and we've done everything that we can, and we have to go to war. We're going to go to war with crushing power, and we're going to win, and we're going to come home. If you elect me your president, there will be an individual that goes to the Oval Office every day, committed to the military men and women and to the veterans of this country. It won't be an afterthought. It will be every day walking in that Oval Office. asking the Chief of Staff if we're getting the Veterans Administration straightened up. If we're getting work done for these veterans, men and women who held their head up and said, "You're my city, you made me promise." We promised that we were going to take care of them as they were serving, and we were making a label for them. In a Perry administration, that will come to fruition. That will be a truth and a promise that we give these young men and women, and we'll live up to it. There's one individual on the stage that hasn't been introduced yet, and I want to take the privilege to do that myself. Not a greater patriot on the stage, from my perspective, than the lady that I'm going to introduce to you. She was raised by a patriot, a man who was a P-38 pilot during World War II. He came back home, went to medical school, married a Texas girl. He was smart. And moved out to that little community called
battery one side surge. Just make sure
and he
the
raised
is in the battery side.
A really great family. He raised him and he taught him to be patriots. He taught his daughter about public service. She took it to heart. Not only did she become a nurse and give back to her community in multiple ways, she was on the school board. The former First Lady of Texas has spent those 14 years focused on the health care needs in the state of Texas, but she's also focused on these veterans. When Marcus came and lived with us in 2007, 2009, that time frame, there was a clear caregiver in the governor's mansion, a lady whose heart is full of compassion for these veterans. When Chris Kyle was killed and Taya came, she opened up the governor's mansion for all these warriors. I want you to give a great New Hampshire welcome to the former First Lady of Texas and a great patriot, Anita Perry. We haven't seen job participation rates like that since back in the late 70s. Matter of fact, I kind of feel like I'm in the 70s again. In 79, if you want to know the truth of the matter, do you remember what was going on in 79? We had some of the lowest job participation rate. We had gas lines. I mean, we had all this going on. We had our grain being embargoed, being sold to Russia. We had our young athletes. I know there's a young lady that wants to be an Olympic runner for America. I know how much you have dedicated your life to being able to compete for America. Jimmy Carter wouldn't let our kids go to Moscow. What were we thinking back in those days? Our embassy was taken over in Iran. I feel like it's 1979. Looking around what's going on in the world. A little easy to be pessimistic about that. But you know, here's the great news for everyone. Remember what happened 10 years later? In 1989, we saw the Berlin Wall fall, and we saw Soviet communism defeated because we had a president that had a vision and believed in America. Ronald Reagan knew. We've been through a civil war. We've been through 2 world wars. We've been through the Great Depression. We made it through Jimmy Carter. We'll make it through Barack Obama. We'll get this economy turned back again. It starts, I would suggest to you, with American energy. Actually, North American energy. When you think about it, Canada, the United States, and Mexico. There are more known reserves in that region of the world than there is in Russia and Saudi Arabia. Using that North American energy, drive down the cost of electricity. At the same time, you lower the corporate tax rate. Every accountant worth their salt will tell you that if you lower the corporate tax rate 10%, you will raise mid-level wages by 5 to 10%. I tell my friends, my blue-collar friends, my union buddies, I said, listen, every union worker in this country ought to be looking at us and saying, Harry, you do that, I'm voting for you, because that's how you impact the economy of this country. That's how you create jobs and how you create good paying jobs. Drive down the cost of electricity. Give to those companies that come here that have been offshore before. And we will have the greatest renaissance of manufacturing in America that we've ever had in the history of this country. That is what we have the potential to do. And I will suggest to you, we can turn this country's economy around. I'm optimistic about the future of America. I'm optimistic about the future of America because I know that there are men and women all across this country that are just like these individuals standing up for me, that believe in the future of this country, that are willing to sacrifice the future of this country. That is what humanity is all about. Live free or die means something I do. Live free or die means